gave his spot for the benefit of maybe Pierre Bourdieu, so that he doesn't throw a hissy fit, should be kind of never voted back in again, right? And should have maybe asked the constituents, I'm thinking of doing this, and because you voted me in, you now have to, not necessarily through an official election, but you can definitely call in CBC or go on your Facebook groups, and the more you share opinions that match, no, we don't want another election. See, that would be what a democracy does. There's also also they're making a good point with whether he'll even pass the next Conservative Party review to be their leader. But let's say I'm in a debate, okay, and the person is either non-confrontational and wants to be respectful with me and say, well, in Alberta, we want somebody who advocates for us making the most efficient use of our resource here. With they're talking about fossil fuels. Then I'd answer based on what information do you have about how to make it like that, and hopefully if that person asks that question, they have a lot of information, because there's a lot of ignorance in that, right? And part of it is the premier passing on that ignorance, and other kind of politicians that are bought by big oil. And then there's also, well, hey, have you looked into what's going to happen in the long term? And when I mean long term, I'm not talking about the year 2100. I'm talking about what's happening in the world while you want to ship your oil in another country, that you're going to lose your market for it in the very near term, okay? What's your opinion about pursuing fossil fuel as your only thing almost, or more aggressively, than other means that are more sustainable? Now, if the person is actually confrontational and disrespectful, and they say, our resource here, and I will say, whoa, do you know how insane that sounds to an Homo sapien, right? And it sounds insane if you're saying our resource as a people primate, right? The Homo communia, your species, right? Accelerating the Anthropocene, in big part by fossil fuels. So you say our resources. It's already insane that a species claims a geological phenomenon in their area. But they're not even doing it as that. They're doing it as a fictional provincial boundary. That's even more insane. So that's where I would go in my response if somebody's confrontational. So if people say, Martin, you're always criticizing or making trouble, have you thought about how you approach a thinking person with different opinions than you, and who actually walks the talk and would like to gently kind of explain the difference and guide you back to maybe how you would act if you really care about your kids and grandkids generation? Because that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about that far into the future, you guys being screwed if the only thing you're interested about is your fossil fuels, and how, again, it largely benefits your elites there. But that you're so hoo-hoo over there that you actually would vote to benefit your elites, and who are so corrupted that it's in the news a lot, and that they do very little to actually help you take advantage of this. So why don't your elites say, okay, well, we'd like to have more people support fossil fuels, but the profits of it are going to come to people from Alberta, okay? And maybe even shares for people that work in that industry and want to take the risk that it's going to still be great in the year 2100 or even 2050 or even 2030. Because you guys are as much on fire as a lot of other parts of the West right now, right? So yeah, sure, if people that want to work in an industry and believe that it's God's gift to this planet, then yeah, sure, invest in shares. You guys should own more that devolving culture and that evolutionary dead end of an industry. But otherwise, the profits should mostly be used to benefit people, let's say, that want to be more sustainable in their lifestyles over there, and maybe get more solar panels or other forms of technology that actually, there are ways to get electricity from the ground. And if you calculate the physics of this, instead of getting fossil fuels to make sometimes electricity, you'll see how insanely brainwashed you are. So be careful if you ever have a conversation with an Homo sapien, you might have to find out how insane you really are.